there in a minute.
No, you're good. It was like the perfect precursor. So thank you for taking a minute out. I appreciate it. It's great to meet you. So
Definitely.
before we get into your life as the love messenger, I want to know 4 years ago or so, this whole pandemic, we were trying to figure out our way out of it. It was quite momentous in many ways for all of us. How did you survive that time period, and how did it change the way that you do things now?
I love that this is going to be a question moving forward. Like it's a dividing line. Were you alive during the
Where were
pandemic?
you?
Where were you during the pandemic? When it first came through, I'm going to tell you the first thing, virus, and I went, I'm good. We've got our essential oils, our homeopathy, our homemade elderberry syrup, whatever that is. And then we're all hanging out at home. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal. We're human beings, not human doings. And that whole experience was an opportunity and a reminder. Now, for me personally, my whole life turned upside down. All of my in-person retreats, in-person body work, in-person coaching workshops, the drill. And it was during that time I formulated a new way of being, and that's how I see it now. A new way of living, a new way of operating, a new way of existing. That was my journey, and it has totally informed and infused everything that the Love Messenger is. And I mean, literally, because it was, well, I guess it was more towards the end of the pandemic, but as far as the essence of what I traversed and what I witnessed, it was an opportunity for transformation and for coming into the now moment and for recognizing, I was aware of a lot of things because I sensed them, and that's a big part of what I've come into clarity now. And yet, the perspectives I received from the whole conspiracy theories situations
Yeah,
and the pandemic and wherever you want to go in this conversation was a great, like, interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it all still seems clowny. It's just like our current political situation, like how we've traversed this
Well, I
whole
was like, how
realm.
far are we going to go down this rabbit hole? Because it is, I mean, it's the Matrix, dude, right?
Yeah,
You're there. You
100%.
know that.
Yeah, it's a different reality. It's like there's just another, it's like the upside down world in Stranger Things. It's like this whole realm that we never thought we would get to. And how pedestrian was politics 20 years ago? I mean, really, it's like what happened? We know what happened, but yeah. So we'll
Well, I mean, it's funny because you said it's a show. It really is. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like always remembering hearing it didn't matter who the president was because the president was a puppet. And then you're like, okay, so if the president's a puppet and then the other thing is kind of a show, a screenplay,
Yeah.
like who's in charge? No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Right. You know what we need to do, and you know what I thought after the iPad came out? We should make the iPad the president. So in the Oval Office on the desk is the president, and one day it can have a bow tie, another day it could have a wig, so it can be a man, it can
It's
be
an
a woman.
avatar, dude. It's
Yeah,
an avatar.
exactly. And then when it travels, it gets up there. So it's like Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. It has no choice but to be authentic because it's driven by AI that tells it to be truthful. It would
Wow.
completely revolutionize everything. And then we wouldn't have to worry about voting. We wouldn't have to worry about all of it. It would just be like the iPad won again. The iPad is the dictator. So let's do it. So
The funny thing is that I mean, it isn't far from that.
yeah,
I mean, so the information comes through the device, right?
yep.
It's coming through the TV, the phone, interpreted by what? Here's the other thing. I said this once on a call with a client, and I said, out of mind, out of sight. And I was like, oh, that's backwards. And I was like, oh no, that's actually 100%.
Yeah,
If you can't conceive of it, you're not going to see it.
yeah,
And then the next step is it's got to drop into your heart and then you're going to feel it. That to me is true living.
yeah.
Like your mind conceives, you have the experience, you witness it, you take it in, you be it. Like that's what we're doing here. That's why we came onto this planet to
Yep.
do all that.
Yeah. 100%. So let's get to the essence and core of what you do here in 2024 as a love messenger. And to do that, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids, third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer
I
them?
love this question. I do. I love that you ask people. I love that I was thinking about it. I help and support people. Okay. What I do, I help and support people to be with themselves. I know that seems strange because you're with yourself right now.
Sure.
But here's the thing, there are parts of us inside that speak to us. And what I support people to do is to listen and to be with themselves so that your heart, when it beats, you can feel it because you're connected to yourself. You feel and you're connected to yourself. Your mind is thinking, your heart is beating, and you really feel yourself being here. Like, this is the idea of remembering. This is what I help people do, to remember who we are and to understand all of our parts.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream when you were at that point?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I feel like it's funny to think about that because I was essentially wanting to be, I feel like I wanted to be a mom. It's funny about that because, in a way, that's an extension and expression of what I do. I hold space. I hold space. It's what I've always done, and I teach. Now, my mother was a teacher of elementary school when I was growing up and then junior high. My brother married a teacher who teaches in the same school district and took on my mother's name. I married my wife's sister is a teacher in high school. And I told everybody, like, I'm never gonna be a teacher. That's a fucked up job. Excuse my French.
You're fine. You're good. We love French.
Awesome.
French
I was
fries,
like,
French bread.
there are rules. And I'm like, do I break them or not? Okay, so anyway, here's the thing. That job was not a career I had any interest in. And yet, it's everything I do now. It's
Yeah.
the infused who I am in every job from my first career of being in fine dining. I was a food server. And to me, that was helping and supporting people through a dining experience. Every restaurant I ever worked at, I either created, revamped, or worked in the training system. Like it
Yeah.
was like I trained the other servers. I trained birth doulas. I essentially teach. And so it's interesting what our mind designs as far as a path, and then what our life journey infuses as a reflection of that. Like, I came out of the womb to help and support people, like always, always, where and how. But what's really funny, I don't do victim very well.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good thing.
But that's a line, like weakness. You know, I've done body work for 25 years. You don't know how many people are like, "Oh, my shoulders." And I'm like, "Yeah, my schedule," right? But if you want some lotion rubbed on you, you're going to get a massage.
Yeah.
Like, it, I can't help myself,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing which I believe is the essence of this life, and it comes from the oxygen mask on the plane. You got to take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
You're the number one. You are the center of your show. Are you familiar with the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz?
Uh-huh. Yes.
That's one of
Yes.
the principles, not the agreement, but a principle is that you are the actor
Yeah.
in your show.
Yeah.
Famous. I mean,
Yeah.
hello.
That's
Like,
it.
that's what we're talking
You got the
about.
Academy Award. You win. I get it. So where were you born and raised? What were these foundational seeds that were planted into you that eventually evolved into who you are today?
So, how much time do we have? I'm just kidding. Here, I'm going to start with something. I'm going to start with something, and I'm going to say, kind of jumping into the now. where I come from, the consciousness is we choose this life. Okay. So as a spiritual being, we choose the experience we want to have here in this dimension, because this is Earth, this is what we're aware of, but there's many other choices we could have. I chose 20th century. I was born in 1969, Southern California, basically LA, Orange County, Jewish. Both my parents were Jewish. They met at a B'nai B'rith dance. Middle class. My mother was a teacher. My father was ended up being a taxi cab driver. That where my mother was the greatest light with no boundaries, and my father was a narcissistic bipolar man who struggled. They both struggled. I chose them for their individual struggles. They were divorced when I was 11, and 25 years later, I was 36 when I got that cell phone.
There you go. The moment. The moment.
My here's the next moment, right? And everybody take a breath, right? My dad showed up on my mother's doorstep and he shot and killed her. Yep. And then went to jail. And so 18 months after her death, he was found unconscious in his cell and he died. So I gave you like, woo, like the bare bones of that story.
Yeah.
And why is that important? Because that's all of it. I chose them to do the fucked up life they were going to do to give me this. This, who I am now, is because of 19 years ago
Wow.
and the other pieces that infused all of that.
So, especially in this 19 years, who has been that hero for you? Who's been that inspiration that has fueled you to get up and to feel inspired to find this kind of raison d'etre, so to speak, of your life?
It's funny that you say that because I knew that this question was coming and this story actually totally is key. Um, my fifth grade teacher, no, my sixth grade teacher, sorry, my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Colin Deck. And it's funny, we had there in my high school Facebook, he recently passed away, and there was like a bazillion comments on like how impacted people were by him and his wife and like the whole community. My parents got divorced the year before, and then I went into sixth grade, and he held a line that was like, I see you, I see what you're struggling with, and we're going to push through it. Like it wasn't, he never said those words. So also I have another one. He's not alive. Yoda. Okay. Yoda is another hero of mine. Star Wars came out in 1978. So I'm like 9 years old. Everything about Yoda, again, holding a line, like not soft and fuzzy. He's a cute little green guy, but he's not soft and fuzzy. Mr. Deck was not soft and fuzzy. He was scary.
Yeah.
I'm scary. People think I'm scary. And yet I'm the softest, fuzziest thing, like in that way.
Yeah.
So I love this question because those two factors are foundational in who I am
Yeah.
now as the love messenger.
Absolutely. So, if you could hang out with somebody right now, whether it's in your field or otherwise, that would be self-edifying, just by osmosis, being around them would help you as a person, and you could spend some time with them, a fascinating human, who would it be?
Jim Carrey. It's funny you brought him up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I so here's the thing. I'm fucking funny, Joe, and I did never even thought I was funny. I never
Yeah.
thought I was scared of like I didn't have a joke. I didn't tell jokes. I don't know how to tell jokes. I couldn't. But here was the thing. I was funny in my own little private world. And then when I realized I was funny and people were laughing, like that was it. Now, I think I'm doing it backwards. Like I was like metaphysical and woo and then became funny, and Jim Carrey was funny and then became woo. And I love, there's a picture of him like the beard and a rabbit, and he's holding the rabbit and he's like, I'm not available anymore for your funny man. There's a lot of my movies out there. Go watch them.
Yeah.
Um, I'm here to be with what is. Now, I'm not disappearing. I'm actually coming out. Like, I mean, I have like the opposite. Like, I've been doing all this cultivation because what I see coming, the timeline for Ann Jonas, aka the Love Messenger, is famous, is big, is here to have many ears be witness, many hearts be opened, because that's what my design was. That was who I have chosen to be. And so I love how Jim is saying to the world, the key is you. You are the key.
You know, I think everything changed with him. So I have a son, he's 19, he's on the spectrum. And when he was dating Jenny McCarthy and with her autistic son, that was kind of the beginning of him getting to a place where all the pretense went away. Like he started seeing.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he really started because they were doing kind of the anti-vax thing, but I think he was delving really deep into that world. And I think there's that was a part of the catalyst. So I just went about a week and a half ago to Colorado on vacation to Estes Park and went to the Stanley Hotel. And I'm looking through that
Mhm.
Colorado lounge and I'm looking at all because it's like presidents and all these people have dined there, and you're waiting to see a big slick of Jack Nicholson that signed it, but instead there's a big slick of Jim Carrey that says Shanks a lot on it. So even in his autograph, he's being funny. But I didn't realize when they filmed Dumb and Dumber, they were at the Stanley and transformed it into a Colorado hotel that they were staying at.
Oh, wow.
So the
I
whole
didn't
time
know
I'm
that.
thinking Stephen King and, all of this stuff. But it was that was the most of it in there was kind of a commemoration, ironically, of Dumb and Dumber.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's so
Which
weird.
is so crazy because it's such a reflection of our like humanity.
Yeah. Right. I know. It's so weird. Like life is definitely stranger than every level of fiction we can concoct. So it's weird. Very weird. Um,
Well, which came first, the chicken or the egg,
yeah, right.
right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this idea, and when ideas, Big Magic, you're familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert, right?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
One poignant piece in that book was an idea is a thought energy bubble and it desires to exist.
Yeah.
And so that concept of having an idea, not following through with it, and then somebody else, that was my idea. Yeah, you didn't do anything with it. It
Yeah.
wanted to exist,
Yeah.
and how things simultaneously will erupt like in sync. And you're like, wow, I mean, there's more to what we think
Yeah.
about this reality.
Totally there is. So what is it every day that gets you up, that gets you motivated to do this work? Not only for others, because you have to really give a lot of yourself to get them to where they want to go, but you also are a human that has to evolve. What is that collective energy that gets you going every day?
It's funny. I wrote love as I was making some notes, and I'm like, yeah, love, yes. Love is the foundation of all. But what came through? Curiosity. Actually, I feel like the curiosity of what will come, what synchronicity am I going to discover? I live my life based on synchronicity, meaning that I look for them all day long. And it's this piece where when you see the synchronicity and you're like, yay, the divine says, yay, here's more. It's this thing. It's like infusing it. And then I'm living a God-led life. Like I'm living a life that is surrendered, trusting, divinely aligned. I mean, I had a lot of things like I'm lazy, I'm a procrastinator, I don't really have a schedule. I've been self-employed for 20 plus years. Like I don't schedule much before 10. I could work 24 hours, 7 days a week if I wanted to. I have a 13-year-old that's like my roommate. So like there's this idea that like I could do anything I want any time of day I want, really.
Yeah.
And why? What's my why? My why is that I am here to live.
Yeah.
And that is through seeing the things that are lighting me up and light up other people. It's my greatest joy.
So speaking of lighting up people in this job that you have, what was the first time that you saw that spark in someone's eye where you thought, this is what I need to be doing with my life?
Oh, wow. Um, well, it's had so many incarnations, I feel like. Waiting tables wasn't about getting the highest sales. It was about somebody feeling held and supported and having a dining experience. and all through birth, attending almost 180 births, the the amount of people I've gotten my hands on. It's funny. We're all here to do something different. Okay, period, end of story. No comparisons. We don't compare tragedies in my world. Like, yeah, I got some serious ones, I get a dead wife and dead parents and murder, and I got all kinds of shit. And you have what's for you.
Yep.
So this idea essentially of what is serving the greater whole is that I am seeing people light up, and I've been seeing it. But I'm going to tell you something recently, I guess, that's really the love messenger is somebody that's a friend that I've known that spent some time with me here at my home, which is the Sacred Connection Sanctuary and Retreat Space. Like, I've always loved people coming to my home, paying me or not, let me just take care of you. Um, and then the work through my Sacred Connection community and the things as transformational guidance. And she said to me, "You've helped me connect with God." And it was like, God was like, "You gave us one, you brought one, yay, I'm doing God's work." When I realized I was doing God's work and I get paid by God too, like that's God, but it's not your money. I'm sure you're familiar with Tosha Silver. It's not your money. It's a
Yeah.
fabulous book around suspending our awareness of money because it's energy. And like when she said that, I was like, that's everything. Yet it's really what I've always been doing. People have always said to me, I feel I can tell you anything. Like I feel safe with you. Like I never have told anybody this. Like this is who I've always been. And so that one moment is recent, but I feel like I can remember, yeah, somebody being on the phone and sharing their heart. And it's like, yeah, I create safe space
Yeah.
without even trying,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
um, I'm gonna go with Bob Newhart. Stop it. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
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 Because, and then like let go, like Frozen, Elsa, let it go, let it go. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that song. I love that essence because we are so stuck in what's expected, whatever that is, the density. We come in, we're just density, 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 growing, growing, growing. To get through back to the light, you
Yeah.
got to stop it.
Yeah.
You got to let go and you've got to let God, whatever that is for you. If you don't like God, I don't care. Call it Ethel, like, Joe, whatever, like that. The energy is the relationship
Yeah.
with what is.
Yeah. So, of all of these things that you've obviously had to overcome in your life and accomplish and evolve into at this point, what are you the proudest of?
I am the proudest of. It's funny. It's the 54-hour home birth of my daughter.
Yeah.
And it was a marathon. I had been doing births as a doula prior to that, having a vision for what it would be. And the big reason is there's two parts of it. One is I let go, like really, really surrendered. Home birth is no drugs, people, just in case you're curious.
Yeah.
No drugs, no support. I had the most amazing midwife ever on the planet, like really, like she was instrumental. And I had that support, like it's about community. So it's going in and surrendering and letting go and having the people and trusting the experience. And I was 41 when I was pregnant, 42 when she was born. I mean, like I was not the spring chicken situation. She was
Yeah.
an old egg. And so I'm proud of all that came to put Jordan on the planet and all the pieces of me. She's my greatest mirror. She is the most powerful reflection of who I am, how I was parented by my mother. Like it's all in it. And I love that I've had this opportunity for this birth to become so much of who I am
And
and
you
how I
just
be.
and you just answered the big question. What came first? The egg came first. All right?
Yes.
See? Look how much progress we've made here.
Now we solved one of the greatest puzzles of all
I'm telling
time.
you. And I may have just heard a tree fall in the forest. So we're in good shape. We've done a lot of good here. So speaking of the tree falling in the forest, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone around you. But who do you think you are? What's your perception of you?
I'm a weirdo. I am a weirdo. I have weird moments. I say weird things when I'm totally alone. And when the funny part is when I'm being myself around other people and then they kind of like it seems out of character. I say honestly, what I have allowed myself to do is be a free spirit and it's to show others the amazing benefits of being a weirdo and a free spirit.
So if you had a dream tonight, you could go back to when you were your daughter's age at 13, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained, what you've overcome. What advice would you impart on that younger version of you?
We have got this.
Okay.
It's a trust that I would imbue in that you cannot see what's coming. And so, what I feel like I'm doing now, because of what I feel, and I do see it, I do feel and see the timeline that's coming. I feel my future self is saying to me, like, it's big. We've got this. You're building the infrastructure. Like, I'm right now, like, getting like, literally the website, the things to, like, you're at the beginning of this next level. Like this interview, this moment in time is for the next thing. All of us, that's all of our lives. I mean,
Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven, I love Led Zeppelin, Staircase to Hell, that's my version. You decide, it's your life. But I'm telling you, there's plateau, easy peasy, ruly, we're cruising along. And then you hit this and you got to do this. You
Yeah.
got to do this, whatever this is. And then you're here again. It's the whole journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I answer that
Yeah.
question?
You certainly did. It's a big question. You did great. So let me ask you this, a fantastical question to go out on. If a time machine pulls up to your house when we get off the call and you can go anywhere in the history of time and watch one event unfold, what would you love to have seen?
So I had to allow Divine give me this one. And I was like, where am I possibly going? And I'll tell you what popped into my head was the Boston Tea Party. Now,
Yeah.
not even from like what there's part of it, like all the tea in the ocean, like part of that, just like visualizing just all this dumping.
Yeah.
But what it comes with is freedom.
Yeah.
Like it's that, like kind of like a F you and what happens now?
Yeah. Uh-huh. What the hell did we just do? Right?
It's and it's emotion. And it's like, the stoicism that so many people walk in because speaking your truth and being authentic might push some buttons in other people. Well, you know what? For agreement, that shit. Don't take it personally, their response to you. Don't assume either. Do your best and be impeccable with your word. And those are foundational, in my opinion, for life.
I would up the ante on that and say, can we bring one person from the modern era to the founding fathers to say, this is what's going on today. What do you think?
Do you have any perception of how we might create an amendment for this?
Yes. How can we prevent this from ever happening? And they're like, all right, let's have a drink and we're gonna figure it out. So that's it.
It's just this is the idea, right? Come togetherness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to blow up. I mean, Verizon already did, right? It's got to blow up, and it's amazing. It really is. I appreciate watching it through eyes like yours and mine that are curious and also realizing it's all a holodeck. This is a hologram. We just plugged in the program that
Yep.
said, let's go play on the planet Earth during the major uprising of humanity, the next evolution. Let's go do it then.
As Keanu Reeves sits on the eternal throne eating a sandwich, right? That's it.
Keanu Reeves, he's like all over everything, which
I
is
know.
so funny.
He is like the art imitating life. He has become this godlike figure. It's crazy, you know? So if anyone wants to hire you, reach out, learn more, any of the good business, where can they go?
Yeah. The lotuspath.love. You'll find everything there. That is my umbrella website, the lotuspath.love. Transformational guidance, the Sacred Connection webinar that I offer 3 times a year, my courses, events, local events, in-person events, always some kind of seasonal shift event. I am, my greatest joy is to hold space
Wonderful.
for transformation. So,
I I
Joe,
I
it's
can
been
feel it.
amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy your day and keep doing the wonderful work. Spell the light out there.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for continuing to see the light and offering a container for others to shine. So
Absolutely.
this has been amazing.
Thank
Thank
you. I
you.
appreciate it. Best of luck. Take care.
Best of luck. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.